Anybody that's listening to this, watching this, or is going to watch this in the future, please understand we are not trained medical technicians, nor do we give a fuck about health. Hence the name Two Drunks in a Bottle.
Souls, cheap whiskey flows, falling through the night, no place to go. Broken dreams and shattered fight. Two drunks and a bottle takes flight. Empty pockets, shattered holes, swimming liquor, drowning woes. Faceless shadows, fading light. Two drunks in a bottle outside, bleeding hearts on dirty ground, shattered bottles echo sound, no salvation nowhere found. Two drunks in a bottle bound, hit the pavement cold and hard.
Welcome back to Two Drunks in a Bottle. I'm BB.
I'm Hunter.
You motherfucker.
What the hell I do?
You tricked me the last episode. You told me we were going to have a celebrity guest, and I got all excited and was thinking, oh, we're going to have a celebrity guest. And you were like, oh, I got Ryan Reynolds. It was his fucking bottle of his liquor.
But he was there. I mean,
You told me Ryan Reynolds was going to be there.
technically in the intro, you saw him. He was next to the bottle. Y'all saw him. I mean, technically, I was still in the right.
I didn't get to talk to Ryan Reynolds.
I never said you could talk to him.
Normally, when we have a guest, they're here and we talk to them. Instead, you had me looking at a fucking picture of him on the TV, talking to him.
I did say that we were gonna have Ryan Reynolds on the podcast. Never said you would be able to talk to him. He was just gonna be here in like spirit form or more. Yeah, I like that, in spirits. He was here in spirits.
I hate you.
Well, this time you will let me do it again, though. Kind of brought it up and you kind of caught on this time.
Yeah, I'm not falling for it this time.
So, announced that we had Ron Reynolds. You want to announce who we have on this time?
It's not who we have. It's the bottle of liquor that they made that we have. It's actually one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
And I wish we could have him here. You couldn't fucking work the deal out.
I mean, that's kind of your job to get the guests. We've established that many times.
I think he's in the middle of filming fucking Fast X Part 2.
Probably part 3 as well.
Anyways, not Vin Diesel,
Nah, too expensive.
not Paul Walker.
Yeah, we tried.
Is that still too soon?
I mean, we tried to get the brother. The brother still was like, it's not the same.
Cameo appearance.
Yeah. Work out the CGI on him.
We got Dwayne motherfucking Johnson,
AKA The Rock.
but not him actually.
No.
Just
his spirits.
how would you say you pronounce that? Teremana?
I would say Teremana.
So Teremana tequila, the Blanco one. I've had this one before. The Raspado one is about $10 more expensive than this one. This is a pretty smooth tequila, if I remember correct.
Yeah. I know it was nothing bad to say on it.
So we're gonna do the same thing that we did the last episode when we were supposed to have Ryan Reynolds. I'm still salty. We're gonna.
You're salty.
We're going to do the same thing that we did last episode. And we're going to give some background, and we're going to make this whole entire episode about the guest bottle. So let's go ahead and break it open. Do you want to say what we're doing different this episode than what we normally do as well? I'm going to go ahead and pour you a shot. But do you want to announce what we're going to do at the beginning of the episode?
Oh, you mean like what we did last one?
Yeah.
Oh, so like we did last time, I don't think we really talked about it a whole lot. But instead of pouring off into the infinity bottle with our shots, at the end, we're going to, instead of doing it at the end, we're going to do it at the beginning because there's been a couple of times where we either kind of forgot to pour off into it or we just kind of finished it and then didn't have any.
Like the episode before the last episode?
Yeah, where we we turned off and we're like, shit, we didn't actually.
The bad part is we didn't even get drunk the episode before the last episode.
No, we just kind of finished it and we're like, well, at least we still have some to pour into. Which, I mean, I guess that's a lot better than just finishing the bottle and then not being able to pour off into it, you know? So, yeah, that's going to be something new. So, when we pour our shots, it's immediately going to get poured into the infinity bottle. We're pretty much going to like pay a tribute to the infinity bottle as we start our episode.
You always know it's going to be good when it's not a wood cord.
Ooh. Almost has like a lime smell to it. Oh yeah, I was right. That is definitely what I get off that cork. So it's pretty much like someone made you your shot how you normally would do. You get the limes, you cut them up. It's like it was already prepped into the glass. It's just liquid form. I'm about to just, turn it up. It's already there. So I kind of like that versus you having to like kind of prepare for it, even though there's really no work into it. But yeah, I kind of like the thought process on that. So like everything's there. Like it's not just the taste. The smell is what I'm getting off right away. I mean, that kind of makes me think of tequila. Just from that smell alone, like that shot's coming. So I'm hoping that shot or that flavor is going to carry over on the shot as well. It's been a minute since we've had this. And when I say minute, it's been probably about a year, if not a little bit longer than that. So I'm looking to kind of rephrase my memory on this. All right, you got us all set up on the infinity bottle?
Yes, sir.
All right, what are you forgetting this time?
Yeah. Went on ahead and got it done. You got a good idea of starting that last episode. I just wanted to give a reminder in case people didn't pay attention last episode.
It was like, what, 10, 15 seconds, and yours like, fuck, we forgot something. We're doing better, though. We're getting there.
Like I told you, I'm excited about this specific one, even though he's not here. It was like this was one of my childhood. Like he was my favorite wrestler growing up.
Yep.
And he ended up becoming one of my favorite actors. So freaking excited to actually talk about this one. And this is something new that we want to do with these bottles and stuff. Like we talked about last episode. We want to kind of start doing, maybe when it's just me and you episodes, doing celebrity bottles. Because it's easy to talk about. It goes super smooth. And you can't run out of fucking topics when you're talking about celebrities.
And again, I do want to say thanks to our suggestions. This is not our own idea. I will say it again. This came from somebody that just gave a suggestion about it, and they were spot on with this one. Because it definitely hits home for us. And like he said, when it's just us two, we need stuff to talk about.
Not that we don't have stuff to talk about.
It's just easier.
I made a face on that one.
It took me a couple sips.
Kind of went down a little wrong.
Whew. It's definitely got a bite at the end.
Or
I wouldn't even say at the end. We got a bite in the middle of it. I tasted like a straight lime and I was like, okay. And then the tequila,
Yep.
And then right after tequila was just straight heat. Like so I couldn't even down it like I normally do. But
And that was just a shot.
not bad though. So we talked about the shot a little bit. We kind of gave a little bit of history on it with you said it was Blanco because I want to say it was 3 different styles to this one.
I didn't know there was 3. I know there's Blanco and I know there's Raspado, which you've drank Jose Cuervo and Jose Cuervo Gold.
Yep.
So pretty much the Blanco and the Raspado are the same as the regular Jose Cuervo and Gold.
Yep.
Same thing with Patron, Silver, and Gold.
Now, I would have to look it up. I do remember seeing that there was a third one. Now, personally, I haven't seen a third one. I've seen the second one. As BB said earlier, there's
I've only ever seen 2 in store.
yeah. So like I've seen that, but yeah, I haven't seen the third one. But I did see that there is a 3 part collection to it. So I'm kind of curious to kind of look at that. Maybe try that out in the future. But going back to that though, we talked about the bottle, but let's talk a little bit about the rock. I mean, because he got us here at this point.
So, like I had said earlier, I grew up with him as being one of my favorite wrestlers, like a role model. We grew up in the Attitude Era with wrestling, the best time with wrestling. And man, I saw him as like a hero almost. Just the witty comments, kiss my candy ass type shit. Just those witty comments that he would say. But man, how big this man has grown from the 90s to now. And I'm not saying big as in his career wise. I'm talking how big he's gotten body wise.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you go back and you watch the older stuff that he played in, go back and watch Walking Tall, go back and watch The Rundown, even Scorpion King.
Yeah.
He wasn't as big in stature as he is now. He was big, but nowhere near.
Compare him to just Pain and Gain alone. And that beats it. I mean, that
Pain and Gain is where he blew up in size.
Now, Fast Furious, I know he's swollen and stuff in it too, but I think Pain and Gain pretty much took it.
Well, you could watch him get a little bit bigger in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, you can.
Going from the very first Fast and the Furious that he played in, which was what, 8, I think, 7 or 8?
No, Fast 5.
Was it Fast 5?
Yeah, that's when the Vault come out and they were going after him.
Oh, yeah. You could even watch it there, though, from 5 up until Hobbs and Shaw.
Because
how big he got.
Fast 5, he was pretty much Vin Diesel size.
Yeah.
Because they were staring him dead, eye to eye.
Because that was kind of the point, was they were of the same.
They were equal, yeah.
But dude is completely huge.
So going on that though, this dude, he's getting old too. I mean, I don't want to say he's old, but he's getting old.
But he's around our parents' age, right?
Yeah, just a little bit over mine. Oh, well, in between, I guess, but yeah.
My mom was born in 74.
Years.
Yeah, you don't want to give the age away?
I can tell the age. I just don't know the year.
How old you? I think mine and your mom were born in the same year. I'm pretty sure. My mom would be 51 this year.
Oh no, I think my mom's turning 50.
Oh, okay, so 75.
Yeah, I think so. I know we haven't threw the 50th big party yet, so.
Okay, okay. So how old is he?
So this dude was born May 2nd, 1972. That's 52, going on 53.
He's right around Remy's birthday, dude.
And yours. I mean, definitely closer to Remy's, but I mean, same month though, May.
I think that might be where you think that's where you got the Brahma Bull from.
There's so many names,
he's a Taurus.
Yeah.
But that was one of his big wrestling names, was the Brahma Bull.
I mean, he had a couple of good nicknames out there.
Rocky Balbino at one point.
Crap. It was the infamous or the That's, I'm gonna screw this one up because I don't know. But it was like a long name. It was like something Man of the Year or something like that. I just can't remember the actual. It was a long ass title to it. But yeah, this dude had like at least about 6 good nicknames that people kept referring off to him for. And a lot of people, you know, especially like nowadays and stuff, they see his mom and they see like his groups, especially with Hobbs and Shaw, like with them going into Hawaii and all that. They see the Samoan in him. You know, he's always told everybody, "Hey, I'm Samoan." Like he doesn't say it, but he shows it. Like you could see that he's part Samoan, and kind of going through like where he grew up and stuff at, or where he was born, nowhere near Hawaii. I mean, a lot of people didn't know it. I know I didn't really pay attention to it. But yeah, Hayward, California is where he was born.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was born in California. Uh, I thought that I thought he was from Hawaii. Honestly,
I mean, his mom is, yeah.
I know he spent a lot of his childhood in the Miami area,
I mean, a lot of places.
but they traveled back and forth from Miami to Hawaii quite a bit. But you know, his dad was a wrestler, so his dad did a lot of traveling. And then his mom was a bookie and would book his dad's wrestling shows.
Yep.
So they just traveled all the time as a family. I believe up until his teenage years.
Yep.
Where
he started going into like the final years of school and stuff is where they kind of settled.
He ended up getting into football.
Yep.
And played football for quite a while. Was on the verge of going pro.
Yeah, he got a full scholarship.
Yeah. He was playing for Miami University.
Yep.
Not the Dolphins. But he was playing for Miami University. And if I remember correctly, he ended up getting, was it a leg injury?
Back injury.
Okay. And I'm assuming he must, did they ever go into detail about that? Like, what did he, was it from playing football that actually gave him the injury? Or is it something outside of football?
I can't remember that. I just remember being at a back injury, which pretty much cost him the rest of that career of going pro.
I think he was going to end up, I think he was a potential draft to the Miami Dolphins.
I know everyone was saying that he was like next, like he was on the block to go big, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely got cut short of it. But he took, you know, time off to heal and stuff up from his back. But he actually went back in. He went to, I think it was a Canadian league is what they were saying. And he tried to give it a shot there, like getting his feet back on.
So I don't know if it's in our notes. We do have a little bit of notes tonight on him. Just like we know quite a bit, but doesn't he own a stake in a football league currently? I'm pretty sure I'd have to, you know what, let me look it up real quick. I'm pretty sure, crap, I can't look it up. I think he owns some type of portion in a football league.
No, that wouldn't surprise me. I can see him doing it. Yeah, so
yeah, UFL is what it's called. United Football League is what it is. And it's a merger between XFL and United States Football League. XFL was a company that was made, now you may not know this, but it was a company that was made by WWE. Vince McMahon held a stake in XFL, and it didn't take off as big as what they wanted. The players weren't as good as what they wanted them to be. And the sport just, it didn't have all the regulations and stuff like how the NFL has to this day. It was a lot more contact inside of it. But like they're going play to play, they had no structure in doing that. So people ended up kind of like losing interest in it. And now we were kids when this was created. I believe this was in like the mid to late 2000s. And I think what ended up, you remember the game, like backyard football or whatever
Oh
it
yeah,
was?
I grew up on those. Yeah.
Like it was the really big, huge players and stuff.
Mhm.
I think that was based off of XFL,
Huh. Okay.
along with the same franchise with like backyard wrestling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I believe that backyard football was to give a glimpse of what XFL was, because it didn't take off to the standard that it was supposed to have taken off. So to know that he owns a stake in a football league, and I believe that it's actually going to be taken off a little bit bigger. I mean, he's made a bigger name for himself now and has the money to back it up and could potentially have connections to back it up as well.
Yeah, 100%. So going back with like the football thing, like after his injury, I say he went for the Canadian League. He actually signed up with a 3-year contract with this league. I don't really know too much about the Canadian League, but I do know he signed a 3-year contract. He was going to give it another shot, but within his first year of that contract, he ended up dropping it. And I think it was because of his father, him going pretty much like seeing his legacy type thing. And he wanted to give wrestling a shot. So he dropped the football career and went to wrestling. Now, that could be due to the injury still. Like he was like, okay, I could lose it again. And where am I going to be at now? So he pretty much tried something new. And that's pretty much where the wrestling started in, was him leaving football and going pretty much there.
So the wrestling career that you're referring to was he debuted in 1996 with a company that I've actually never heard of, and it was USWA. I'd never heard of them, but he was under the alias of Flex Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't remember that.
I think this is something, as BB said, we really don't know too much about this organization. So it could have been something real small, but I don't want to say that they were small just in case they are big. But yeah,
they're probably not big now.
Yeah,
because WWE took over.
Oh yeah,
that entire scene, and that was back when WCW was around. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Watching WCW Nitro on like Sci-Fi. And then because they would overlap on their schedules, you'd have Friday night SmackDown, and then you would have Friday night WCW Nitro, and then Monday night you had Monday Night Raw.
Right.
And they clashed. And I don't know if you remember when they were the WWF.
Yep.
They ended up getting sued over that.
That I did
Because there was another company called Worldwide Federation and had those initials. And it may not have been another company that was Worldwide Federation, but they had the initials trademark WWF.
Yep.
And they had to change. And that's when they ended up becoming Worldwide Entertainment or World Wrestling Entertainment.
That's weird. My uncles, I pretty much grew up with them. The youngest uncle I had, he was probably just a little over 10 years older than me. So like me growing up, like he was like my older brother at that point. And yeah, they were big on wrestling. That was what they watched. And me being like the little kid, that's where I was going to be hanging out at. Was I'm hanging out with them. They're watching wrestling. I'm watching wrestling. So, when you bring up like old stuff like that, I remember it, but I can't say like I watched it on my own. So like when you bring up like stuff that they got sued for, like I wasn't that much involved. So like I don't know that much. But going back to like where he first started, I do think he was probably just trying to get a stance on it. Like it was just something to join up in and get a name out there somehow. But it's cool though, because in 1996 is when he debuted in this, and it was the same year, or before that, he won a tag team championship with Brett Sawyer. And then later that same year, he debuted again for the WWF. Like it's kind of weird seeing that transition, like going from one organization right to the next in the same year. I don't think that's really normal.
No, it's kind of common with that. Like WWE now, they put guys through like smaller networks.
It was like a little ringer.
Yeah,
Okay.
They'll kind of go through smaller networks, and then when they see potential because they have talent, talent people.
Yeah.
And those talent people will reach out. It's almost like
And like football with schools almost.
Yeah, it's like a spectator.
Yeah.
Someone to come and spectate and look out for you to potentially come into a draft or go to a certain college.
Yeah, you have the recruiters that are just
yeah,
out scouting.
a recruiter, a scout. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Not a. So it's similar to that. Now is you'll have these scouts looking for these guys, and then they'll end up bringing them into bigger shows, bigger pictures, because John Cena.
Yeah, of course.
So John Cena
Everybody.
wasn't always what John Cena was. John Cena started out small as well, and then got noticed by talent and got brought into the WWE and blew up to what he is now.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers out there like that. I mean, hell, Steve Austin, they were coming up with crazy nicknames and stuff because he wanted to be called something with ice or something like that. And they were coming up with these crazy names for him. And he just kept saying, no, that's not what I want to be. So it's kind of cool, like seeing wrestlers, no matter who it is, like them trying to come up with a persona and stuff. Those are always cool. I mean, because you can get a bad rep and it could stick with you and stuff like that. So picking out a persona like specifically designed for you, I think that's really important. And I think that was something that, The Rock.
Look, I'd still watch wrestling to this day if it was what it was in the 90s and early 2000s. I stopped watching in the mid 2000s when it kind of just got really stupid.
I hit more video games. So like when I hit I don't know, maybe like 13, 14, I was just kind of more interested in video games, and I would play like wrestling games, but I stopped like just watching wrestling. Like they might have an event or something come up here and it'd be like some little small wrestling match or something. I might go watch it. Like that's cool. I'll go live in person type thing. But yeah, just watching on TV, I kind of stopped. I fell off about, like I said, about age 13 or so. But with The Rock though, like I think it's kind of bad that when he first started out, of course he wasn't The Rock. It's like you said, you got to build up, and he kind of picked a bad persona on that one, or maybe they did. I don't know. I think it was him that came up with his persona.
He started out as a heel.
Yeah.
And he was actually a heel for most of his career, but he becomes so hated that he was liked. Because he started out, and I can't remember the group, but it was a group of them, and I don't know if you have that in here. Yeah, it's not in here. Or yeah, it is.
So that one
Nation
was
of
like,
Domination.
So, but I'm talking about like before that though, like when he was where is it? Yeah, Rocky. When he was trying to give
When he was Rocky Maivia.
Yeah, he was trying to give his name to his father. Like, I'm gonna give credit back.
Yeah.
So it's like when he started out there, as the good guy, it's like he said, he was so hated on that everybody knew of him, and that's where his fame kind of went. And he even said, he was winning, like he was doing good in matches and stuff, but the crowd like just it couldn't stand it because he was a baby face, and they were like, oh, this dude's just trying too hard. He's not the person he's trying to be. Like, this is not him. And that's one of the reasons why they hated on him. And it's kind of bad. Like, remember the signs, die Rocky die. Like they were not playing with that.
That stuff, man. Imagine being a kid. And I know we're jumping around a little bit, but imagine being a kid growing up in that world.
Yeah.
Your dad is a wrestler, and you love going to his shows and stuff, but then to have your mom be a bookie, and I mean she was a damn good bookie.
And that's another thing too, is like, since you brought up the mom, her dad, he was a wrestler too. I think I have the notes on that one. Yeah, he went under the name Hot Chief. So like it ran in the family. So I was like, as a kid, you see nothing but the wrestling world in the family. So that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to say, I want to do what they do. I want to do what my family does. Even though you want to kind of set your own path, kind of like how he did. He tried the football route and he still came back to it. That's, his path. But I mean, I think that's kind of cool. And same with anybody else. So when you see like your family doing a certain job or a business, and it's actually like a family business, of course you're going to go try to be a part of that. And I think he pretty much did well on that.
Well, so speaking of like the High Chief and stuff like that, like to this day, a lot of his cousins and stuff are part of that world.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is like I said, I don't really keep up with wrestling. I know a few of their names. I think there's like the Samoa brothers or something like that. There's Roman Reigns. Those are all supposed to be like distant relatives of his, and they kind of all came from that same background, you know. And some of them even starred in his show, The Young Rock, to portray parts of his family as he was growing up.
Yeah. He's definitely gave shout outs to him, like certain interviews that I watched. And I think that show is pretty good. Like I've watched a couple, but I haven't actually sat down and watched through them. But it's definitely kind of cool to watch because he gives his own perspective on it. And it's, to me, it's like kind of cool. I like watching shows like that.
So I'd kind of jumped ahead and I was talking about him being a heel. Then I brought up Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
And that's where he really, really blew up.
Yeah.
Was with Nation of Domination. And he played a heel for quite a while with Nation of Domination until he finally ended up splitting off from them. And he was still, a lot of people didn't realize he was still playing heel a lot in his role, but people started to actually like him. And his heel, he was like part heel, part hero at the same time, and ends up turning straight face because of it.
I mean, his fans definitely made him who he was, which I think the whole part, like him coming back and stuff with the Nation of Domination, they brought him out, you know, for the first time because he pretty much got forced out. You know, he had lost his belt, and he had stated that he ended up getting hurt during the matches because they were pretty much throwing the matches on him. Like every match would be almost like a loss, but just because the fans were not having his character, so he wasn't the popular one anymore. So when that happened, you know, he lost a lot of stuff, and like I said, he ended up getting hurt because of it. And it wasn't like nothing serious with them and, you know, the promoters or anything like that, but he got time off. And within the time off, he said he had a lot of thinking that he had to do. And he got invited with the Nation of Domination. And so when he come back, he made an announcement to all the people that were watching that he was fed up with them, you know, that he was done with all the bad names and all this other stuff, that he was doing something completely different. And he pretty much started becoming the bad guy. And it's kind of cool because you don't see like him just change his persona. He just starts off a new persona. He still is the old persona. It's just, he's done with the crowd. He doesn't want to be the good guy anymore. He wants to be like the bad guy. So like to see like that kind of interaction with the fans that they made him or they created something different, I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, so like when he started becoming the bad guy, people are like, well, shit, this dude, he ain't playing around, you know? And he definitely created a name for himself. I don't even think that he thought he was going to be as big as he was, because he started getting, you know, a whole bunch of names. Like, you know, we talked about earlier, a couple of them that we have here, the People's Champ, the Great One. Like I said, there's many, many more. But I mean, he pretty much made that character into what it is now. And it's something that everyone remembers. I mean, you got all of his sayings and all that. I don't think there's anybody that watches wrestling that wouldn't know about The Rock. And anybody that doesn't, say, watch wrestling, they're going to know The Rock because of what he's made for himself now with movies and all that other mess. But I mean, he's definitely made a name for himself. I mean, he's had a lot of enemies with wrestling, like, you know, other wrestlers. Some of them, you know, Steve Austin. That was one of the bigger ones, I know.
Mankind,
yeah.
Undertaker.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kane, but yeah, Undertaker.
He had his bouts with Kane too.
Triple H. That was another one. But yeah, I mean,
A big one, Vince McMahon,
yeah,
the owner of the company himself. Him and Steve Austin at one point ended up joining forces against him, and that's what made the Attitude Era. Was they were against the man. You know, whoever the boss was, fuck you. And that's how their personas were all played. That's why they were called the Attitude Era. And once the Attitude Era ended and it became Ruthless Aggression or whatever the
Yeah.
next era
Something
was,
like that.
that was a decent era as well. But The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mankind, Undertaker, Goldberg, Sting, Steve Nash, or Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, like them guys made
They excelled in
the
this.
Attitude Era.
Yeah. I mean, that was their point. You know, that was their come to Jesus moment type thing. It was like, we made it, you know. And I think that was their biggest point in their fighting career at that time. And it was something to watch. So, because it's like I said, you had all these good wrestlers right there. Like, that was the time where everybody was watching.
Their talent was good then.
Yeah. I mean,
The storyline, the arc, it was all it was super good. It wasn't that cheesy gimmick
yeah.
stuff that it is now.
Yeah.
That's just kind of cringe to watch because they're trying to fit with times. Wrestling went from being TV 14 to being TV PG to
Yep.
being G.
I mean,
Like,
it was,
that kind of shit, you know, to where they don't even cuss on the show anymore. They don't show blood. Like,
I don't know what it is with advisories nowadays. Like, they definitely cut out a lot. But I mean, with wrestling, it's made for that. You know, it's not like really like a bad news story, anything like that. It's just wrestling. It's made for the public, and yet they still kind of cut it down. I mean, it's so bad, you know, that South Park, you know, they made an episode on wrestling making fun of them. But, you know, at South Park, you know, they're going to make fun of everybody.
yep.
But when South Park did the episode, you're like watching, you're like, yeah, this is kind of like what's happening right now. And it's kind of bad.
So let's move on. I guess I'll introduce the mixed drink.
Yeah, I saw you back there.
I made us a margarita. Who has tequila and doesn't make margaritas?
Like, you actually have a mix?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had some Jose Cuervo mix, and it's pineapple. I thought it was mango, but it's pineapple margarita. I'm not
That's-
a big fan of pineapple, but
That's kind of fitting since we're doing the Rock, like say Hawaii and all that. I'm down with it.
I did a double shot of tequila and then filled the rest of it up with the mix. So should be a stout drink.
I get a whole lot of smell. Definitely margarita.
I don't get a whole lot of pineapple.
Waiting for it. It's sweet. I don't know if that's supposed to be the pineapple, but I do get like the mix. It's like a margarita.
It does taste like margarita. So let's start to talk about his early career of starting to get out of the wrestling phase. Where he decided he was going to start making appearances on TV shows, and then even eventually makes an appearance in a movie, which ends up leading him into a bigger role.
Yep.
So, what was the first TV show that he actually made an appearance on?
So I didn't know this. Of course, you know, we're saying, you know, we looked up, kind of did a research on all this. But I actually found out that he was on that 70s show.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't, you know, I'm a big fan of that 70s show, but I don't remember him being in it. But it said that he played in
the episode.
wrestler.
He was, of course, super tall, but he had an afro.
He was Rocky at that point. Yeah.
But he had like a small afro in the TV show.
Yeah. They definitely, what I was reading on, they said that he pretty much was his wrestler persona. Like I said, I don't really remember it, but I'll probably end up going back and watching that part.
Well, I kind of want to backtrack just a hair before we continue on that.
Yeah.
You realize that he also grew up right down the road from us, where we sit right now. His dad spent a lot of time wrestling here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yep.
Which we live less than a mile from the Memphis, Tennessee line.
Yep.
But he did a lot of wrestling here in Memphis, and even lived here in Memphis at one point. They actually shot portion or scenes from Young Rock at Sid's Market on 51 here in South Haven, Mississippi.
That's what I remember. People are all talking about, like, oh, they're down here, but yada yada, and it's all about this. And I think that was when I found out, like, that's how close he was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know it back then, but when that come around, that's when I found out. So that we talked about, like him getting started with TV shows and stuff, like just making appearances is what I would probably call it. But The Mummy, one of my favorite series when growing up, like watching the movies. When the first Mummy had come out, like that was the shit. Like I thought that was cool.
Yep. And
when they made that sequel, The Mummy Returns, I was like, okay, I'm ready. I remember they made the announcement that The Rock was going to be in it. They even, I want to say they had a WWE tag at the beginning. I can't remember if they did.
No, that was before WWE started doing stuff like that.
All right, so they just made.
If I remember correctly, one of the first movies, if not the first movie that they did that in, was John Cena, the Marine.
Oh, yeah,
I think that the Marine was the first one that they did that, because shortly after they made See No Evil with Kane, and it also was produced by them.
So, like I said, I remember them making the announcement that he was going to be in The Mummy Returns.
They weren't happy that he was going into showbiz.
No, they weren't.
They absolutely were not happy that they were losing him.
Yeah, they thought he was turning his back on them.
Because pretty much The Mummy Returns is what opened the door to his 100%. Next stages in life.
So, I remember, like I said, watching that he was going to be in it, thought that was cool. And, you watch this whole movie, not see him. You hear about, the Scorpion King, and that's all you're like, okay, this is going to be him. And then you open to him coming out to this bad CGI. Now, you got to give it consideration that was back in the day. It was
good CGI then, dude.
No, I don't know about that. Like,
then it was good CGI. Like, you thought that motherfucker had turned into a crab.
I don't know. That movie got so much hate. I'm not gonna lie. That movie got a lot of hate because of
that's a good movie.
How they portrayed The Rock. I mean, we talked about him getting big with his fans in the wrestling, and everybody from that watched the movie and then they hated it. They were like, "That does you didn't do justice."
It was really bad CGI. Yeah. His entire body, face, all of it was all CGI.
I mean, I really don't think the body was that big of it was the face is what everybody hated.
His face was so cartoon, animated looking.
But I mean, that's how bad CGI was at the time. But it's like you said, that's kind of like what we had. That's what we grew up on.
And it was actually watching it like you as a kid, you were like, cool.
It's like video games.
Hell yeah, that was cool.
Being pixelated, and you're like, oh, that looks just like them. And then watch now where you see sweat rolling down, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely that.
Yep.
But I mean, so with that movie though, like seeing him and as bad as it looked, it did open a door. And it's like you said, it started his career, but it took a different turn. It took away from The Mummy. The Mummy wasn't coming back for like a sequel with him in it. If you want to,
instead, they decided to tell the story of the Scorpion King. And that was his next major picture was the Scorpion King. And that's what completely ended up getting him like 90% out of wrestling.
Yep.
And he's still only like 90 to 95% out of wrestling. He still makes cameo appearances and stuff. He always has.
Yeah.
They just had Hulk Hogan
come
back here recently, and people hated it. Like, they loved seeing him. People were happy to see him until he got in and he spit his gimmick. And he was promoting his brand. Apparently, he's got his own beer brand now, and he was promoting his brand. And that's when people were like, nah, bro.
See, with Hulk Hogan, it's kind of hard to go with because there's been a lot of shit with Hulk Hogan, and it's a lot of stuff right there. So him to come back as his old persona and then on top of it try to promote shit, people don't want to hear it because they know like stuff that's happened and they don't see his persona anymore. They just see the person who's been on the news for this and that. So
they see Terry, they don't see Hogan.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, it is a different image. I think if The Rock were to continue to do something like that, I don't see it going downhill unless some shit happens or he just starts promoting faceless stuff that they aren't paying attention to, I don't think The Rock would do that. I think The Rock has pretty much held his own on a lot of shit.
So you had Scorpion King completely, like, they're telling the story of how he become the Scorpion King and stuff. It was a badass. It was a really good movie.
Made a couple of them too.
Well, they only made
one with him.
One with him.
Yeah, but they made a couple with the series. Not that they were the best, but
And then you had The Rundown.
My favorite.
One of my absolute favorites.
Sean William Scott. Yeah.
Yes.
And that was kind of like a new point too with movies when they were starting to add like the comedic route with the action.
With the action.
I mean, I love movies like that. Still to this day, I like movies like that.
Because they had Christopher Walken in there, which was kind of a different role for him. Kind of.
Yeah.
He's always played like a creepy role in most of his stuff.
Yeah.
And this wasn't really a creepy role. It was a straight up bad guy.
Yeah. High on the pedestal type.
Yep.
Yeah.
But The Rock and Sean William Scott, or Sean William Scott played super well together.
Oh yeah.
And the movie just overall was good. I could rewatch that movie over and over and over again.
I mean, just a feud between them two made the entire movie, and it wasn't even always just about them two. It was about a lot more, but just watching them two go at it.
My favorite part was the beginning, the very beginning, where he goes into the nightclub.
Oh yeah,
and he tells the guy, "I'm here for your ring," and he's like, "What?" He's like, "I'm here for your ring."
He's like, "Give it to me quietly."
And he fucking throws the drink in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to the bathroom and he's like, "I can't do this. I can't do it. I don't want to hurt these guys." Like they seriously got a good shot in playing in the NFL. And these were real fucking football players that they had in the movie. These guys got a really good shot of being in the NFL. So this motherfucker single-handedly takes all of them on.
Because I think he was working on his retirement, or no, he wanted
to open a restaurant.
Yep, and they told him like that was his way. If he wanted the
that
restaurant,
was supposed to be his final job, and he was going to get the money to own his restaurant and all that good shit.
Yeah, so I can't blame him for going for it. But I mean,
like when he threw the turntable at the guy and hit him in the back, and then like twists his arm, and he's like, "Mine." But then I felt so bad for him when he got beanbagged.
I mean, you saw. I guess a quarter of the team is what you would say. I mean, go after him, and even though it's a movie, I mean, for him to be able to get all those guys like that was nice.
And if you remember, that's when like these wrestlers started to try to introduce their moves into these movies.
Yeah,
because if you remember, in there he had got knocked on his ass, and then he did his famous where he puts his hands back and then he flips up.
Yeah, that's when he was fighting in the jungle.
Yeah. Well, he did it in the club too.
I think he did, yeah.
He had done it in the club too. Right. And I think he had even done the rock bottom in the club.
Yeah, I think he did. So you said that like that was your favorite. So like for me, my favorite would have been with Sean William Scott when they got lost in the jungle and it come to like the where they got to meet like the natives and stuff in that area. And Sean William Scott threw him under the bus. That to me, like that was the funniest scene.
That fucking language. him completely. Sean William Scott. Like, no, they're talking good about you.
Teremana when you talk to him, it's respect.
Yeah, it's respect.
that shit was hilarious.
So,
but yeah, I mean, with movies like that, when they add comedy and stuff in action, like it always is like gold. And I think that was around the first time that we started seeing stuff like that. I'm not sure if it was the very first, but it's definitely around the first time when they started doing that. But I mean, he doesn't always just play it in comedy though. He played in a really good movie, Walking Tall. Now, it wasn't the first, like there was the older school Walking Tall, but I mean...
And Walking Tall is based on a true story.
Yeah. But I mean, with The Rock, like he added character, like I don't know. When I watched it, like I can see it happen. Like there's a lot of hurt in that movie.
They portrayed it differently in the Rock version than they did in the original.
Yeah.
The original wasn't about the drug dealing and the casino.
They updated it.
Actually, I think it had the casino in it in the original, but it wasn't going into the same depth as the Rock's version of it.
Exactly. I think they updated it to current times at that point.
They did. That one's another one that I could watch over and over and over again. Yeah. Who was it? What was the kid? He played in Holes, right? Was that the kid that played in Holes?
Yeah, the kid who couldn't talk. Zero.
Yeah,
yeah, he was in there.
What was his name? That's
Zero was his name in Holes.
Yeah, I'm saying what's the actor's name? Do you remember? It's not Orlando Bloom.
Oh no.
What is that guy's name?
I can look it up.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely in that one, and that was
Johnny Knoxville playing in that one. They played good side by side together.
like I said, they definitely figured out the comedy and action point around that time, and that's when we saw a lot of movies coming out. So yeah, shout out to them for doing movies like that.
So probably my favorite part in that movie.
Got it. Leo Thomas.
Okay. So my favorite part in that movie would have had to been whenever he goes, he had showed his scars and all that in court,
Okay.
and he gets off from the charges, and he says, "You know what? Y'all are fucking corrupt, and I'm going to run for sheriff." And then he gets it, and he fucking fires all of them. And then he pulls over the main protagonist or antagonist in the movie, and he's like, "Well, what did you pull me over for?" And he's like, "You have a tail light out," and he busts the fucking tail light.
I have to agree with you.
And that guy has always played a bad guy in everything. We just watched him play a bad guy in Tulsa King.
Yes.
Which he played a similar character in Tulsa King that he played in Walking Tall.
Yeah.
Just that rich son of a bitch that has too much money and doesn't know what to fucking do with it.
Wanted a steak and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to agree with you though. Like that to me was my favorite part was the court scene and up to that point to where he pulled him over.
The second casino scene was also one of my favorite parts, to where like his nephew had overdosed and he goes back,
got revenge, yeah,
and gets revenge on that shit. And it even told the dude special forces, special treatment, like, and grabs his necklace, grabs his dog tags back.
Yep. I mean, it was a lot of shit going on in that movie, but like I said, there was a lot of hurt going on. So it's like you felt for him, and I think that's
man, the girl that
yeah, that was another favorite scene.
What, the fire, the strip club, her coming out to the fire,
Well, I mean, yeah, that too, but I mean, like her coming to the place to check on him,
to bring him the chicken, and
no, to heal his wounds, But yeah, all great movies though. Even though starting out, it wasn't a rough patch. A lot of people when they jump into movies, they get some bad roles. For him, I wouldn't give him any bad roles. I mean, all these movies are really great. I think it definitely started something with him. And it led to like a lot of good movies afterwards, like movies that are well known. Gridiron Gang, one of the
went
biggest
back to
movies.
his football roots with that.
That movie still holds too. I mean, I could watch that movie a lot.
That one's up there in football movies. That one's up there with watching Longest Yard.
Yeah,
or even Remember the Titans. I can't compare it to Radio. Nothing beats Radio.
No, outside of just football movies, but like say sports movies. What was it Coach Carter?
Yeah,
I mean
Samuel
stuff like
Jackson.
Stuff like that. I mean, those are all good movies. But I mean, for him to land stuff like that, because this wasn't like right after these movies that we're just talking about, but it definitely gave him a lot bigger spot in Hollywood with movies and stuff. They tied him in more connections.
Well, yeah, Gridiron Gang let him into Fast and the Furious.
Oh yeah.
And then you brought up Pain and Gain earlier.
Yeah.
Then he started playing in movies with Kevin Hart, and it played in a couple movies with Kevin Hart.
Yep.
You had Central Intelligence. Then wasn't there another one that he played in with Kevin Hart?
Jumanji.
Yeah, the Jumanji series.
I mean, he definitely found his role when he found Kevin.
And one of Remy's favorites, Moana.
Oh yeah,
one of Remy's absolute favorites.
Another good one that was different. It was
I've never watched Moana.
Sure.
I'm for real. I've never watched it.
Me neither.
No, I'm being like 100% serious.
Me too.
No, you're a fucking liar. I'm being fucking serious. I've never watched it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I ain't never watched it either.
Yeah. I don't believe you.
Same here.
No, I 100% swear on the Bible. I've never watched it. I've never sat down and watched that movie from beginning to end.
I didn't say that. I ain't saying like you watch the whole movie.
No, no, that's no, I've seen parts, but
Yeah,
I'm
I've
saying
seen-
I've never watched it like from beginning to end.
Well, yeah, same here. I haven't watched like there's no way I'm gonna sit down and watch it all with the credits. No, I've seen parts of it. I've probably seen the movie like within parts, but yeah, I haven't watched it like a whole standing of it. But yeah, another movie with him in it was Faster. I don't know if you remember it. It's where he pretty much went to jail and come back, and he went after all these guys.
It was they killed his brother.
Yeah, they killed his brother. That one to me was pretty cool because there's a lot of movies, out there, till this day that they take on other movies and they kind of make it their own. But this one was something different. This one, it seemed like it had its own little original storyline. I could be wrong, but I don't remember watching a movie like that.
Drive Angry, Nicolas Cage. Because that
he went to hell, though.
but Drive Angry tried to try to feed off of Faster a little bit because he went to hell, but he come back with a vengeance to avenge someone's death.
It was with Amber Heard. I think.
Yeah, it had Amber Heard in it.
And then, but it had a lot of demonic shit with it though, because like the person he was going after, he was demonic, and it was a big cult. To me, that wasn't Faster. Faster, it was more just straight down to the line. I got attacked.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of see what you're saying, but I mean, I don't agree with it just because it was too big of a difference on it. But yeah, I mean, those movies, those were a lot of fan favorites that people remember on.
Did you ever watch his HBO series?
Oh,
Ballers?
Ballers, yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
I did.
Did you watch it all the way through?
I didn't.
I never actually got to finish it.
Yep.
I watched the first season.
I remember finishing a season and then I had to wait and I didn't pick it back up. I think I made it to second season though.
That's where I'd watched the complete first season.
Yeah,
I was getting
100%.
ready to start the second. I think they only have like maybe 2 or 3 seasons, maybe 4. They don't have a whole lot. But he was a football. He was a football bookie in it.
Yep.
What a bookie. He was an agent.
Yeah.
He was a football agent in it. And was a badass fucking football agent at that. But he didn't play no fucking games.
I mean, the first episode, it laid it down for you. You're like,
he fucking fired you.
Yeah.
Type shit. Like, you're doing dumb shit. Because in the first episode of it, the guy, like, had done spent all of his money and was pretty much fixing to get, like, evicted type shit.
Yeah.
Like, he was getting ready to lose all of his assets.
It was rough. I mean, that show, I can't really compare it to Shameless. Trying to think of the other one. Ray something.
Ray Donovan?
Ray Donovan. It reminded me of Ray Donovan because Ray Donovan was like over security and he was doing like.
I'd never watched it all the way through. You've told me so many things about that show and have tried to get me to watch it.
That show was perfect because like he would do what he had to do to handle his stuff. And it would be so outside the box with like creative ways that he'd come up with. But you're like, damn.
They put Ballers on Netflix, just so you know.
I might go back and watch some of it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I'll have to go back from season 1.
Yeah, I'm with you. We go back and watch it together. I'm good. We need something new to watch.
But yeah, so I watched Ballers before I watched Ray Donovan, but there was like a connection feel to it to where they were on that same page. Like they were just handling business. And it was something different with The Rock. You didn't really see him play that role before. Usually he's like the hero or something like that. So seeing him like that, you're like, he's kind of in his element. This is kind of cool.
Do you remember him like doing some of his own music? Do you remember like he would create like his own songs, and most of them were like comic relief type shit. Like he did the one about the cherry pie.
There was one he did with Taylor Swift. It was a comedy one. I do remember the one with Tech Nine. It wasn't really like funny or anything. Forget the name of it.
He did one with Tech Nine.
Yeah, that was his most recent one where he was actually rapping on it. Like
okay.
Yeah, that one was actually all right. It wasn't bad. But he was showcased on like other music videos, like just him being on there and portraying as The Rock. But yeah, but him to be, I actually have a singing part, I guess, or a rapping part. That to me stood out. Like a lot of people remember it. Like I said, that was here recently though. There was all the older stuff. Like I said, you brought up yours. Like I said, Taylor Swift, I know was a little bit of a comedy to it. And then, like I said, there was some of them where he was just in the music video to be, there. But yeah, it's weird seeing him like being on the movies, TV shows, and you got the music coming up. It's weird for a wrestler to kind of go through all these stages because not too many do.
Not only that, but he was at one point for the longest. You remember, Toby Keith was the face of Ford.
Yeah,
Toby Keith was the brand ambassador of Ford, and then The Rock transitioned to being the brand ambassador of Ford and was playing in many of Ford commercials.
Yeah.
So, like, dude has done so much shit that's not even funny. Now here we are. We're drinking his fucking tequila that he signs off on. He may not make it personally, but he owns stake inside of it.
Yeah.
And they sell a shit ton of it because it's got his name on it.
I mean, a lot of people try that though, not just with alcohol.
I mean, you
and all
remember
that,
when we first tried to find this bottle? We went to 4 or 5 liquor stores before we finally found it.
I remember getting to it and going, "Which bottle do we get?" And just kind of going back and forth.
And that's when they were the same fucking price.
Yeah.
And now one is more expensive than the other, and we're probably going to end up having to go and try the other one. We've already had this one before. It's only right to try the other one.
I don't remember us doing the margarita mix on it though.
We didn't.
We just.
I don't think we did.
I think we just poured it maybe over ice and just kind of sipped on it.
I mean, that's my style nowadays. Everything goes over ice.
I'm still a big mixer. I can drink mixes all day long. Drinking over ice, like to me, it's like a night ender. Like when you want to kind of end the night, you pour it over ice and you just sip it and then call it a night.
And that's pretty much what I do sometimes. You know how that goes. It's funny like you say, it's like a night ender or whatever. My boss, I was having a bad day at work the other day. Like I'm going out on vacation. I'm gonna after this episode, I will be coming back from vacation.
Yeah.
And I'd been off for a week, but before I went off, I was having a bad day, and my boss sat there and he was like, "Man, just breathe." And he was like, "You going to the package store after work?" And I was like, "I ain't got to go to the package store, man. I got a fucking liquor cabinet. I ain't got to go to the package store." And he was like, "What's your poison going to be tonight?" And I was like, "It's going to be a whiskey cup." He's like, "All right, I'm feeling you." I was like, "Hold on, because you ain't going to be here in a minute. It's going to be a whiskey cup. I'm going to fill that motherfucker up with ice, and I'm pouring vodka on top of it." And his face went from like, he was like, "How?" He was like, "You're drinking straight fucking vodka over ice?" And it was like, yeah, he was like, "I don't know how, dude." And he knows I drink cheap vodka too. So he's like, he already knew it's like that gut punch.
Yeah, it's rough.
Vodka
It's rough.
that tastes like fucking rubbing alcohol.
You remember a couple episodes back, we had our guest on, and he bought like the cheapest one, and we're like, so we're doing this, this, and that, and he's like, "Wait, we're drinking it straight?" He's like, "I thought we were just doing a mix." We're like, "No, we do a shot." And he's like, "Y'all didn't tell me that." And the look on his face, like he's like, "I really don't want to do it." And it was rough. I give him that.
It was Barden's.
Yeah, it was rough.
Which I drink Barden. I drink Aristocrat.
The cheap ones, yeah. Well, it tastes
I
like
mean,
gasoline.
You get them for fucking $10 for a gallon of, or for a fucking liter of them.
And if you need gas, just pour it in your car. It might run too.
Hey, you've watched me drink a half a bottle of that shit sitting at my computer desk and get fucking hammered.
Yeah. I've seen you play cards
But-
like that too.
Fucking sitting there drinking it, sitting at the computer and be completely fine and drink it for 5 hours straight. And then by the time I go to bed, my ass is stumbling.
Yeah. Trying to figure out where the bathroom is.
In my own house.
Yeah. We've all had some rough nights.
But anyways, to get back on to what we were talking about, so, I mean, the man is up to having his own tequila. Then made his own tequila, and like, bro, You're still playing active in movies.
Yeah.
He's actually debuted back into WWE again, from my understanding. For someone that says they don't watch it, which I don't, I still kind of keep up with it a little bit. But it's Facebook shit that I'm like keeping up with.
Like I said, I've never been a big fan, but I was always aware of it. Like I always heard shit. And it's not like I never disliked it. It wasn't that. It's just I wasn't that much of a fan to watch it. But I don't hate on anybody that ever did.
You know what I like about him, though? You don't ever hear anything bad.
Yeah.
You haven't heard any type of allegations come out in the Me Too movement. You haven't heard a lot of his political views. He doesn't really let his political views out.
You don't see him on like TMZ, like Bad with the Fans or anything like that. I mean, it is a lot of shit. I mean, you see a lot of celebrities nowadays, they have their bad days. And some of them, you can watch the video and you can be like, I see where he was coming from, or I see where she was coming from. That kind of happened because that fan did this. But yeah, it ruins their image a little bit. It hurts them. It might not hurt them bad, but it does hurt them. But yeah, The Rock, I do not recall seeing that.
To be so under the microscope as he is, to be so far into the spotlight, into the limelight that he is, and for nothing bad to come out about this man speaks volume.
I give you that. That's true. I mean, I can't say one bad thing about him.
I have not seen one bad article about him.
I mean, you know how bad TMZ is. TMZ, they get anything.
It's almost like fucking CNN and it's fake news.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't remember seeing him ever really being on TMZ for a bad spot. I mean, like I said, it speaks volumes because it's like you see everybody else. You see bad moments. Like Tommy Maguire. Remember when he ran in with fans and stuff, he got tired of just constantly getting hit. And he struck out a little bit, but I mean, never with The Rock. The Rock's always smiling.
Well, we talked about it, the same conversation we're having now about The Rock. We had that same conversation last episode about Ryan Reynolds, and it was the same thing. We had the same conversation. It didn't happen. You don't see people talking bad about him.
No.
He hasn't went through cancel culture. And
yeah, that's the thing.
Like
for him, I mean, not all celebrities go through that, but with him, especially with the jokes and shit that he makes.
And that's what I'm saying. We had talked about it last episode, and like he's borderline could have been canceled a few times.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with The Rock, is that like you're in the limelight and you're one of the few, nothing is coming out bad about you. And it speaks volumes.
Yeah. I mean, for him to be such widely known, I mean, we talked about, his wrestling career. We talked about his movies, shows, even like say music videos. For him to be that widely known throughout all these different platforms, and no one has really said anything bad about him, that's on up there. Because a lot of people, they only do certain things. Say they're only doing a movie or a TV show, and they're somewhat known. But this man, like, he's known throughout everything. I mean, that's like a shocker. Yeah, I mean, nothing bad to say about him. Nothing I've ever heard bad about him. Even with like the drinks and stuff, like I've never felt like I got pushed to buy like the tequila. Like I just remember them saying like, "Hey, he's got his own tequila now."
I don't remember it ever really being branded, honestly.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen ads really for it.
It was I forget how we found out. You were the one that told me about it. And it had like his signature, wasn't it? Or am I thinking about somebody else?
His signature's on that bottle.
Okay, I remember going to the liquor store, and like I said, I could have swore it was his. But yeah, I remember picking up the bottle, or him giving me the bottle and showing it to me that he signed them and stuff like that. And I was going, "This is cool," because we were looking for it for the longest, and then we finally found it, and we're like, "This is actually pretty cool." But I mean, I never felt like he was trying too hard for people to buy it. Like he didn't really. I'm not going to say he didn't care about it, but like he wasn't trying to force it on anybody either. You do have a lot of people, especially celebrities, that force stuff onto you because they're a bigger image. We talked about Ryan Reynolds last episode. He's been on like, commercials and stuff with it, but at the same time, he's not forcing on anybody. Everybody's got to do a commercial. You got to get that out there. But like I said, with The Rock, I really didn't remember seeing too much stuff with his. Like he's just kind of hid in the background with it. but when you saw the bottle, you knew right away this is the rocks. So shout out, to both him and Rod Reynolds for not like forcing it on to people, because I do think that that's a big negative. Looks like we get to taste this again just over ice. I'm hoping that it calms down a little bit because it actually had a good flavor at the beginning. That's what I'm kind of hoping to.
We're glad these are labeled
I
with our
know.
numbers on them.
Yeah, I did that for a reason, and they look cool. But yeah, I'm hoping this is gonna taste a lot smoother, like from the front part, because I'd give it about maybe 4 seconds in, it tasted sweet. There was some flavor there, and then it went all heat. So I'm hoping like these flavors are gonna come out a little bit more and kind of hit the back of the throat.
So, what would you say was your most interesting part of learning about the rock and us kind of putting together the docket tonight? What was your favorite part of like knowledge of learning?
I'll put it this way: like, there's a lot that I already kind of knew about, but throughout his career and history, it was always would be him starting out with the wrestling, and him starting out like with his persona as Rocky, and then switching over to the Rock. Like seeing that kind of progression with the fans and stuff, how they hated him, they're doing die Rocky die, and for him to get the opportunity to turn that around on him and pretty much say, well, fuck y'all, y'all said die Rocky die, I'm here, I'm not the hero anymore. Y'all want to make me the bad guy? Fuck it, I'm the bad guy. He didn't say those words, word for word.
He pretty much did.
Yeah, I was gonna say he might not have said word for word, but I mean that's what he put out there, and then that image held to this day. I mean that's what people know him for, is The Rock. They know him for his attitude, as you said, and for him to start out, as the good guy, as the baby face, and turn into that, and still come out on top. Like to me, that was the coolest part. I'm not really sure, like as far as like learning tonight about it, because there's a lot of stuff I guess I kind of already knew. There were some parts that you mentioned like I didn't really know about. But yeah, that to me was always the one that stuck out the most.
Yeah, could you tell I was a fan?
But yeah, I always knew you liked wrestling a little bit more than me.
Yeah, but The Rock specifically.
I mean, if you're a wrestler, like a fan of wrestling and stuff, you're going to be a fan of The Rock.
I'm not now, but I think mine would have to be like the heritage side of it. Learning, which I knew a little bit of the heritage, but like I didn't know about the grandfather.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that his grandfather had wrestled. So he not only followed in his father's footsteps, but he also followed in his grandfather's footsteps and continued that legacy, even though it was on his mom's side. If I remember correctly, maybe I did know that, because I actually think that what got his father started was his grandfather brought his father into the industry as well. I could be wrong on that though.
I could see where that would be
But
a
I think
thing.
that possibly is what happened.
I can see where that could be a thing. Now I haven't read anything on that, but like I said, I can see that happening. Now I do know with his name, as Rocky, you said
Mavia.
Mave or Mave.
No, it was Malvia.
I heard it said differently from him when he was saying it, but anyway, like he gave two parts.
Malvia or something like that.
The first part was definitely to his dad,
Malvia.
Rocky. The last part was given to his grandfather as High Chief. He definitely said that it was stated that it was both given from them as a respect. So I think that's kind of cool. Like he kind of combined them into that. Like I give him props for that, for the name. Anybody who gives respect and props to people like that, especially with family, you got to shout out to them. Let's see if we can turn this into a game topic.
Okay.
So, did you know he was actually involved with games too? We named off music, movies, TVs.
Like you mean he played in video games, or he played video games?
I'm not sure if he played video games. I could be wrong. I mean, I imagine he probably played a lot of football games.
So
back
I
in the
know he
day.
did voiceover for Doom.
Yeah.
which that was actually a movie that was left off the list. I'm actually surprised now that I say it. Doom was actually a really good one, but you're switching over to video games, so I'll digress.
I'll give you this with Doom. It wasn't really popular. I looked it up, and the ratings and stuff weren't that high. Now I remember it.
I like Doom.
I like Doom too. I was going to put it on the list, but there were so many other higher ones. I was like, well, if I'm going off fan favorites, I got to stick with it. You know, I'm not going to add it just because I liked it. But yeah, Doom, the game and stuff, exactly.
He voiced over it. They made a Scorpion King video game.
Didn't care for that one.
I
But
think that he voiced over it as well. But that's as far as I knew that he went in video games, outside of the wrestling games, of course.
so wrestling actually made a video game that wasn't wrestling, or not in its traditional form. Think of Twisted Metal. So we played a lot of Twisted Metal growing up. We've had this conversation before. We were big fans. We played it for the longest, even almost to this day. But wrestling decided that Twisted Metal was upcoming. There were other games that were like, I don't want to say knockoffs, but they were like little spin-offs of Twisted Metal.
Which Twisted Metal? Was it Black did it come out after Black? Because Black was really where kind of Twisted Metal took off.
So it was 100% after Black. Because this one was on the GameCube. It came off on other ones too, I believe. I'm not sure on all the consoles. I know it came on GameCube. I want to say it came out on one more. But they called it WWE Crush Hour. I was going to say Crush something.
Oh, I remember that game.
Yeah. So it was pretty much Twisted Metal in its own form. All the contestants were wrestlers, and they had their own unique vehicles. Just like Twisted Metal, they all had their unique style. And they added weapons on the cars, and you pretty much drive around just like Twisted Metal. Yeah, he was on the video game. They actually did the voiceovers. I believe all the wrestlers who were in the video game, they actually did their own voices. I know for a fact he did. Now, that was one of the games, just because I was into Twisted Metal, that I actually played a lot of. I don't
Do
know.
we have that on Xbox 360, or can we get it on the Switch?
We'll have to look it up to see what consoles it come out on, but we might make it happen. But I don't know if you ever played it.
Watch this. No, I remember it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
I forgot about that game.
like I played a lot of Twisted Metal, and then whatever I could find kind of like
Because
it,
it was
I
the
would play it.
wrestlers in cars.
Vehicles.
Yeah.
Because they wasn't always cars. Like I think it was Rob Van Dam. He was in just a big ass tire and was just driving like a motorcycle.
He was pretty much Axel.
Yeah,
100%. I remember that.
But yeah, I mean, for him to come out on like all of these different platforms, and even with a video game, which I know that it wasn't like his video game, but at the same time, it's like he was a part of that. So it's like he's still like hitting all these different levels. And I mean, I don't know what wrestler that I know has been there, and done that before. That he's on all of these different platforms. So like, definite shout out to him. All right, so I think kind of want to get this before it starts to water down.
Yeah, I've already taken a sip of mine. It's still a little rough.
Sweetness actually got toned down a little, but
A little more lime got brought out. You could taste the agave from the tequila in it.
yeah, sweetness went down, but the heat went away. It's still there, but it's a lot more calmer. Not bad.
So what are your thoughts on it? Overall, what was your favorite drink out of the three?
Well, as I said before, and we'll always say,
Because I think
mine
we've
is-
kind of left that out in some episodes here recently.
yeah.
We used to hit on it, harp on it really big, to get the final thought on the drink.
Yeah.
What was your favorite one?
Mine will always have to be the mixer. I'm a big mixed drinker. Now, when it comes with certain drinks, there's some of them that I will choose differently, but definitely the mixed drink for this one. I love margaritas. Definitely you do it over ice. I can't stand like getting the slushy or anything like that, but just because you're going to get a brain freeze, it's not the same. I can kill a whole pitcher.
Yeah, I'm not a frozen guy.
Yeah, I
Got to
mean,
be on the rocks.
me and him have killed pitchers. Like we would drink
I can go
a
to
whole
the Mexican
pitcher
restaurant.
between ourselves. Like he could order a pitcher, I could order a pitcher, and we would finish it about the same time. It'd be a one and done situation, but we
We've
could do
done
it. Yeah, I mean,
it.
with margaritas, it's always got to be over the ice.
Whether it's been here at home, making our own margaritas here at the house.
Trying them out, like different flavors. Yeah,
And I'm talking when we make them, it's a whole bottle of tequila and then a whole bottle of the mixer. And that's not how that's supposed to go.
and it's a couple pitchers worth too. We made what 2 or 3 pitchers at least.
We'd buy 2 or 3 bottles of tequila and buy 2 or 3 bottles of mix and go pitcher for pitcher.
Put a movie on or find a video game to play and just hammer them.
The best night was playing in the garage
Oh,
and sitting there playing all the Mortal
yes.
Kombats, and we're just pouring picture after picture.
I think at the time it was Mortal Kombat 11, but I think we went back and we were playing the 10th and 11th.
Yeah,
But yeah, I remember that day because your wife come in and she ended up. We got stuck at a part in the campaign and she killed the boss. We still don't know how to this day because she never played it. But she come in and she killed the boss for us. We're like,
just pressing one button.
Yeah.
Over and over, just spamming that one button. And she fucking won.
yeah, and she kept doing it.
So mine would have to be probably the over ice, of course.
Well, you're a big over ice person. So I get that.
I did get a classic margarita taste off of the mixed drink, but we got this pineapple flavor, so it kind of killed it a little bit. Like I didn't really taste pineapple. I never tasted pineapple.
To me, I got a lot of
I
sweetness.
don't even know. Does it smell like pineapple? Oh, it doesn't even smell like pineapple.
It smells like it tastes.
It's kind of weird. I don't recommend Jose Cuervo. Is this shit expired? That's a fucking thing.
Yeah.
We've had this for a minute. We've been saving it for something like
Is it on the
this.
inside of the cap?
So I was looking at.
When I meant on the inside, like taking the cap off.
No.
So expired that it and faded away.
Well, Meemaw gave me this because she doesn't care for pineapple.
I mean, if you look at it as a mix on its own, it's not bad. It tastes like a margarita. If you look for the pineapple, then yeah, pineapple I didn't taste at all.
Yeah, I can't find the expiration. This shit might be expired, and we don't even know.
We'll find out in the morning.
Maybe.
I feel like this was actually a pretty good podcast. I do like us continuing on with doing like the celebrities. I'm glad that, the last episode we came up with a good little solution after the suggestion. I think this might actually become a thing now, this being the second episode on it.
It's a good icebreaker for when we don't really have a topic, because that's been a question too. Is what are you guys going to do when you run out of shit to talk about? Well, we're never going to run out of shit to talk about. Like that's absolutely never going to happen.
Well, they were hitting on drunken stories, I think,
Yeah, maybe
as a topic
But
on its own. Yeah.
I was asked a while back, how long do you foresee the podcast continuing?
How many liquors are there? I mean,
Well, we can go forever.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. How many liquors are there? There's tons of bottles.
How much time do we want to invest? And we continue to invest time, and we're going to continue to invest time. We ain't going nowhere.
No.
We'll have something to talk about. But this new adventure is actually really cool.
Yeah.
And maybe if we can come up with a guest that wants to join in on this, that wants to pick a bottle out that maybe they know of someone famous that picked a bottle or that has some type of connection with making something, we'll invite a guest. But until then, it's going to be us doing these, and we'll do them on the fly.
Yeah. I mean, I had fun with this. I mean, I did help do like a little bit of the research and stuff. You came up with a couple of good things for me to look up for. I mean, I had fun doing this. It wasn't something that I felt like it was rushed or anything. This was all.
I'm still pissed off at you.
I know it was funny as a joke.
It was not a funny joke. You even brought Jess in on it.
It was funny to us.
I dressed up for it.
Did you guys?
I wore a nice shirt. I went out and bought a brand new fucking pair of blue jeans, bro.
I mean, you always wear like a nice little shirt, though. I mean, I just figured, it was what it was, and it wasn't until afterwards you told me about the new pair of pants.
I even wore my good shoes,
You
ones I
did.
never bring out.
You did.
I'm pissed.
He would be proud. I mean, he could watch the video. I mean, you never know. He probably watched it just under an alias. Maybe he commented in
Did
the
you
chat.
at least tag him in it? Like in the description?
That would be a good idea.
So you didn't do it.
We will go and do that now.
Yeah, how about you get that done? And then make sure you tag The Rock tonight too.
Oh, yeah, I can do that now.
At least make up for it.
Definitely. I mean, overall, would you say that this was a good suggestion now that we're in the second episode of this?
Yes, it was absolutely a good suggestion. I'm happy with it,
I like it.
but
I
I'm
mean,
pissed off at you.
yeah, I know. I think we definitely had fun
It's
with
going to be a
this.
minute before I forgive you.
Yeah, I know. I definitely think it was a good idea,
Like,
though.
I was just like, what's the chances of him being in Memphis? And how did you get a hold of? I don't know why I didn't think it. How did you get a hold of him?
Honestly, I didn't think that either. When you were just like, cool, we have a new guest, I thought you were just like, hey, we got somebody for the new year. Plus, I mean, given that we have a lineup right now that's currently waiting for us of guests, and we just kind of chose him out of somehow chose
Would
him.
you not put him in front of everybody?
I mean, my thought would have been like, how did we get him? But I mean, I guess you were just like, hey, we got him. Yeah, he's next. But
I bought Remy a Deadpool costume. He was baby Deadpool. I was going to get him to sign my kid's Deadpool mask.
that's when you had the mask laid around. I was wondering, I was waiting for you to like just kind of hold it over for the episode, and you never did. You just kind of like had it in the background. That's why you cleaned on to it. Make sense? Guys, y'all definitely let us know in the comments. What are y'all thoughts on these type of podcasts? I mean, we are going a different route. This is probably going to be something that we're going to be stuck on. Is going through like celebrity bottles or well-known people that are partners with the bottle. I think we're enjoying this. I know I am. If y'all have any suggestions from other celebrities' bottles, let us know.
Absolutely, let us know. I know that we did Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
We've done The Rock now.
Yep.
You're not a country music fan, but I want to try George Strait's. I think George Strait's might be a tequila as well, but it might be a bourbon. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up.
So,
But George Strait's, I think, was a little bit more on the pricey side.
all right. So I like this. So that's the bottle that you would want to try. That would be like celebrity owned, right? Or at
Yeah.
least partnered with.
Yeah.
Mine would have to be from the podcast Two Bears in One Cave. If y'all haven't checked it out, check it out. Tom Segura and
Bert Kreischer.
Kreischer. I was trying to think of the last name. Yeah, Bert Kreischer. Apparently they have their own bottle. I did not know that.
There's the vodka.
Well, with
As
Bert, yeah, it's gonna be
well, right?
vodka.
I've heard them talk on their podcast quite a bit about it, and shit, they almost got in trouble with the wives over drinking their own
Oh, they
product.
they always get in trouble on there. But yeah, I'd be curious to try it out. Just because I know I'm a big fan. I know you watch a lot of their shit too. So I mean, it would be kind of cool to do.
Well, our science experiment will be getting aired here soon because we did it on December 27th is when we did the experiment. It was on the New Year's special that didn't air, that we've talked about on the Aftermath.
Check that out.
And so we will be straining that in a few weeks. I think it's 2 weeks. I think we got one more week after this episode, I think. Maybe 2. We strain it off the wood chips and then we infuse it and it has to sit 1 more week. And then we'll have Lip back on to try the final product.
And so you and Lip come up with this because at the time I was kind of asleep when y'all made it.
Yeah, he became drunk too that night.
Yeah. What was all in this bottle?
It is dark chocolate wood chips. That's what got put inside of it. We did not pick what it's going to be infused with
Until
yet.
after, yeah.
Lip gave opinion on what he wanted. I gave opinion on what I wanted, kind of. I want to go spicy. He kind of still wanted to go sweet because we have a cayenne pepper. And I think that dark chocolate and a cayenne pepper would mix well.
I mean, you hear about like
I know you don't care for cherry. So kind of cherry was kind of out of the mix.
I do like spicy chocolates. I've had it before, like not a drink, of course, but just a chocolate on its own that was spicy. And it, I don't know, it's something about the senses on it is because you look at it and you're like, this is chocolate, it's going to be good. And it tastes like chocolate and then it heats up. It's something that just throws you off. So making that into a drink, I think that would be kind of cool.
But to get kind of go back to what you were saying earlier, I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on what you like better. Do you like the celebrity? Hunter won't let me call it this, celebrity edition, or do you like our regular scheduled content? Just having guests on and having general conversation, or did you like the more side where we have our docket and we go straight through the docket and we talk about certain points and we spend certain time on certain points?
And also think about this. You don't like this one? Just leave us some comments of some bottles. We'll try the bottles y'all leave us.
Yeah.
We'll buy them ourselves. But I mean, if we don't get any suggestions, we kind of got to find a way to do it. And right now, this is what we got. So y'all leave us some suggestions.
Anyways, it is always a pleasure sitting at the bar with you.
Likewise.
Till next time, I'm the Delta BB.
I'm Hunter. Y'all later.
Our souls keep whiskey flows, falling through the night, no place to go. Broken dreams and shattered fights. Two drunks and a bottle takes flight. Empty pockets, shattered hopes, swimming liquor, drowning woes. Faceless shadows, fading light. Two drunks in a bottle out of sight. Bleeding hearts on dirty ground. Shattered bottles, echo sound. No salvation, nowhere found. Two drunks in a bottle bound. Hit the pavement cold and hard. No redemption, no wild card. Eyes of sorrow, tales untold. Two drunks in a bottle cold. Rusted nails and cigarettes. All regrets, no safety nets. Loud and reckless till the dawn. Two drunks in a bottle gone. Bleeding hearts on dirty ground. Shattered bottles, echo sound. No salvation, nowhere found. Two drunks in a bottle bound. Bleeding hearts on dirty ground. Shattered bottles, echo sound. No salvation, nowhere found. Two drunks